What makes a superhero couple super? Respect, trust, bringing out the best in one another, like most IRL relationships. And then of course hopefully saving the world together, contrary to most IRL relationships. Unless you both happen to be some kind of super doctors maybe? I mean, maybe you feel like your relationship saves the world. I'm not here to judge. Unfortunately, not all superhero relationships are built to be blissful and rewarding. Some are actually riddled with disaster, others were doomed from the beginning, and some you just would, well, rather not wrap your head around. Today we'll be looking at some of these kinds of superhero relationships, the not so super ones, as we count down the top 10 superhero couples who went too far, part 3. That's right, we have part 1 and 2, so be sure to check those out as well for even more super dysfunctional relationships. And be sure to stick around to the end of this video where we will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, Rogue and Sentry. You know I love the Sentry, but when he was retconned into comic lore, not everything that came with this history was great. Namely his relationship that apparently happened with Rogue. In Sentry Fallen Sun, all the supers are gathered at Robert and Lindy's grave. The epitaph on their joint tombstone under their names even reads, "Together forever." Such a sweet sentiment. But in this comic, we learn that apparently Sentry's power made him immune to Rogue's power-absorbing abilities, meaning that she was able to touch him without any fear. She confesses this, bursts into tears, and runs off as everybody is sharing memories that they had with Sentry, leaving Cyclops to pretty much confirm that Rogue and Sentry were intimate. Apparently Rogue had just confessed this to her X-Men family on the way over, but Robert was of course married to Lindy, which means I guess he cheated on his wife with Rogue? Unless this happened before they were married? Anyways, it's a really weird wrench to just throw into Rogue's already challenging sex life. She doesn't have enough problems, jeez. Wonder if Lindy knew and was cool with it. Maybe Lindy was there, who knows? Oh my gosh, now I'm imagining all these things. Number 9, Homelander and Becca Butcher. While Becca might not be a superhero herself, and some would see Homelander as a supervillain, Vought would obviously have us believe otherwise. While Becca's story is a lot darker in the comics, things are still taken too far with her in the television series based off the comics. In the comics and the series, Billy believes that Becca has been raped by Homelander, which ultimately caused her death. It's his motivation for vengeance on the supers. However, in the television series they take it in a different direction. Instead, in the show, Becca was actually having an affair with Homelander and she managed to give birth to the child that they conceived together. Whether she lives or dies, the relationship is definitely taken too far. But in the television series, I would say the relationship is even more shocking as it leaves Becca in a very bizarre position where she also seems still pretty terrified of Homelander even though she had an affair with him. And this also shatters Billy's motivation and it leaves the audience wanting to know more. It's just well written. Just a cool twist. Twisty twist. Number 8, Black Widow and SpiderMan. Okay, so this relationship that I'm talking about is from one panel. But trust me, this one panel is the only one you will need for these two. I'm of course referring to the little one-shot panels in What If Volume 1 issue 34. I love these one-shot little panels of what ifs. Like, what if Dazzler had decided to become a lawyer? Or what if Dr. Doom had a sense of humor? The panel I'm specifically talking about though poses the daydream of what if Spider-Man had married the Black Widow, which apparently would have resulted in cannibalism. Burp. All you really need to say about that. Cannibalism is always too far. When you've gone there, you can't go back, because one of you is probably dead. Number 7, Gambit and Mystique. So while this relationship didn't specifically go anywhere, the attempt in and of itself was so messed up that I actually had to mention it. In the comic series X-Men, Gambit ends up becoming attracted to X-Men student Fox while he's with Rogue. He does his best to avoid Fox and remain loyal, truly wanting to be with Rogue and Rogue only, but still Rogue ends up feeling insecure and getting jealous. I mean, if you couldn't touch your one true love, but everyone else was able to, I'm sure you would feel pretty insecure too. While jealousy is not necessarily abnormal when it comes to any relationship, and nothing happens between Gambit and Fox, it is later revealed that this wasn't even Fox, but was actually Mystique in disguise. That's what takes this too far. Mystique sees Rogue as a daughter, and Rogue sees Mystique as her adoptive mother. And yet, apparently, Mystique claims she was hitting on Gambit for Rogue's own good, trying to prove that he wasn't good enough for Rogue, to protect her daughter. You know, disapproving of your child's partner is one thing, trying to sleep with said partner to prove your point is kind of another. Kinda gross. Don't do that. Number 6. Black Widow and Iron Man. In the Ultimates universe, Black Widow is not a very super person. She ends up being a spy working with the Liberators to betray the Avengers and clear a way for the Liberators' invasion. But even if we don't go into that whole plot point, Tony and Natasha still manage to take it too far. Tony and Natasha start dating, and shortly after, Tony proposes to her. He trusts his new bride a little too much, even gifting her her very own set of Iron Man armor. Even after the betrayal comes up and Black Widow is killed by Hawkeye, we later find out that Tony and Natasha had a sex tape. Yeah, they made a sex tape, which ends up getting circulated after Natasha's death. For this relationship being taken too far, I really blame the Ultimates universe. But to be honest, Ultimates often takes everything a little too far. It's what we both love and hate about it. Number 5. Gambit and Belladonna. This star-crossed love story ends very badly for one of these two, but in all, it's pretty much tragic all around. Before Gambit fell in love with Rogue, he had a childhood sweetheart, Belladonna Boudreaux. The two became friends when they were little, not knowing that they came from rival guilds, the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. Over the year, the rivalry became ever more violent, and as such, their fathers arranged a marriage between the two, which they hoped would help to bring both guilds together in harmony. However, soon after they were married, Bella's brother challenged Remy to a duel. I think you can see where we're going here. The Romeo and Juliet mirrored story of their love ended up leaving Remy banished, and Bella mistaken for dead, though we later found out that she was just in a coma. Things only got worse for Bella from there. She was revived, but Rogue accidentally touched her, which caused Bella to lose all of her memories. This caused Gambit to leave her, and he would end up leaving Bella more than once. Ouch. Guess Belladonna was no Rogue for him, sadly. Number 4. Lady Shiva and David Kane. This relationship went too far right from the beginning. Before Lady Shiva was Lady Shiva, she was Sandra Wusan, a practiced martial artist who performed and trained with her sister Carolyn. David Kane, member of the League of Assassins, came to watch them perform one time and felt that Carolyn was holding Sandra back. Believing Sandra to be his true soulmate, he kindly killed Carolyn for her. This obviously upset Sandra dramatically, who swore vengeance for her sister's death. She tracked Kane down, but was ambushed by the League of Assassins. She was defeated, and it was then that she realized just how much her sister had held her back. Kane offered to spare her life if she would agree to bear his child and leave the baby for him to raise. And Sandra agreed. Pretty weird. She trained with the League and set out an hour after her baby was born. Only within the League of Assassins could this weird story be conceived. But hey, we got Cassandra Cain out of it, so Number 3. Aviax and a Dinosaur. Sounds so ridiculous just even reading that. The comic series The Wanderers saw this really odd pairing happen. The Wanderers are a cosmic superhero team who were created to be a group of allies to the superhero team the Legion of Superheroes. They are tasked with helping to save a species on a prehistoric planet filled with dinosaurs where everything is going extinct. To ensure the diversity of the species on the planet despite mass extinction and protect the life there, Aviax, who is a shapeshifter, comes up with the brilliant idea to mate with a bird-like dinosaur, passing on his genes, which are immune to the radioactive fog that appears to be attacking the planet. Most of the team are on board with this brilliant plan, and so Aviax does just that. Sure, he's saving a species, but also they leave before ever confirming that this actually works. It does end up working, of course, and we the readers know that, but as soon as this deed is done, Aviax just runs back to his teammates. The comics even go into the whole mating ritual between Aviax and the dinosaur. No. It's really weird. Number 2. Cable and Copycat. Cable and Domino become a really big deal in the comics. Their relationship echoed that of other famous and adorable mutant couples like Gambit and Rogue or Jean and Scott. The two became quickly inseparable, and this would have been all well and good until the writers decided that this was not actually Domino, but shapeshifter Copycat in her guise. Copycat had actually been tasked with blowing up X-Force's headquarters and killing Cable, but during her time as Domino, she kinda became fond of him, because you know, they had a whole relationship. Deadpool was then sent to confirm that Copycat followed through on her orders. This resulted in Copycat's betrayal being revealed, though she still attempted to protect her teammates. Despite her trying to help, X-Force headquarters was blown up, with both Copycat and X-Force actually getting away. But while physically he was intact, these events shattered Cable's emotional life for a little while. Poor Cable. Number 1. Miss Marvel and Marcus. Sorry friends, we are going there. To the Avengers issue 200, where we shockingly discovered that Miss Marvel was unknowingly pregnant. After the delivery and telling her fellow teammates that she felt used and confused in regards to this newborn baby and how it came about, her son grows rapidly into an adult man. He calls himself Marcus, and this man reveals the story of his origins, telling a story of how he was Immortus's and an unnamed woman's son. The unnamed woman herself looked a lot like Carol. Creepy. He found himself trapped in limbo after his mother left and his father vanished. So he came up with a plan to escape. He found a woman from Earth who he felt attracted to as she resembled his mother. That's actually in the comics. I'm not kidding. This woman ended up being Carol Danvers herself. He attempted to woo her, but when she resisted his charms, he was forced to use his powers to make her fall in love with him. Obviously. The dude had some weird non-consensual space sex where Marcus impregnated Miss Marvel with his essence. He returned Miss Marvel to Earth, where he was then born from her. Not belonging to this realm of existence, things start getting really weird on Earth because of his presence. So he decides that he actually has to return to Limbo, realizing that he does not belong on Earth and that mayhaps he was destined to forever be alone. Conflicted, as her mind is still kinda brainwashed, Carol feels like maybe she should return with Marcus, as she still feels the effects of his influence, and says that she feels even closer to him because he is also now her son. Because he's also now her son! The Avengers stand aside and bid Carol adieu, letting her ride off into the sunset with her rapist. Don't worry though, the X-Men do come to her aid after she manages to escape Marcus, and she rightfully gets to chew out the Avengers for willfully abandoning her. The story is so messed up. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope this list made you cringe in the best and worst of ways. Are there any superhero couples that have gone too far and still have yet to be mentioned? Who are some of your favorite superhero couples? Are there any that you feel have not taken their relationship far enough? Let us know in the comments. And speaking of comments, I have some to share with you from my last video, Top 10 Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker Final Trailer Easter Eggs You Might Have Missed. Quite a long title. Robert Studnick says, nothing better to do when you have nothing to do is binge watch Star Trek Voyager and Next Gen. Are always my fave. I can't wait for the Picard series. I feel you, I love both Star Wars and Star Trek. OG series is actually my personal favorite to binge, but I'm also super excited for Picard. It looks like it's going to be amazing. Reminds me of that episode of Star Trek where Picard is like phasing through time. Trek's Advent asks, are we going to see the new Skywalker in this movie? Maybe. I'm still thinking that Rey will take up the mantle of Skywalker and that she still might be related to a former Jedi of some kind. That's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to leave a comment below for your chance to get featured in a potential future video. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring our bell on your way down to the comments. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.